Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, their daughter was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and mom believes their son has it too.
Tell me why you're so convinced that he has childhood schizophrenia.
He has both autism and schizophrenia.
He's never been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Can you say forced lucidity?
It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and she is questioning Bodie about his meds.
Do you need medication, yes or no?
You are not competent to make a decision about what medications he needs.
Then you provide me the doctor who is.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. You know, we've been on the air a long time, and back in 2012, I did a story with an unforgettable little girl named Jenny, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia at only 6 years old. A diagnosis so rare that it's found in only 1 in 40,000 children. Now, Jenny imagined she lived in a world called Kalalini. Now, during our interview, she would wander off, was often unfocused, and had what we called a flight of ideas. Take a look. Are you Jenny?
I'm Jenny.
I'm Dr. Phil. How are you? You want to sit down? Do you have pets?
I'll make cookies.
Yeah? Well, we'll make cookies in a minute. Tell me about pets. Do you have a dog named Blink?
Blink, yeah.
Tell me about Blink.
Well, Blink.
Is Blink a beagle?
Beagle.
Do you have cats?
One cat. Midnight.
Yeah. Is Midnight one of just your friends, or is it somebody I can see too?
One of my friends.
Just your friends? What is Kalalini?
My own world.
It's your own world? Who's 24 Hours?
My friend.
Yeah. How old is she?
16.
Oh, she's older than you. Yeah. Is she a nice girl?
And 80's 15.
Yeah. What does 24 Hours look like?
Brown hair.
Brown hair? Tell me why you like to rub your hands together like this. You know why you like to do that?
A cookie?
I would love the cookie. Jenny? Jenny?
Well, thank you for coming. I'm so proud to meet you. My observations about Jenny then was obviously she was a delightful young girl with a delightful spirit, but she did have a fantasy world that she occupied sometimes and a tangential connection to the real world. And even back then, Jenny's parents, Michael and Susan, were at odds over how to parent Jenny, and their marriage was not in a good place. I mean, check out their body language from 7 years ago. I predicted then that they would get a divorce, and I was right. And this kind of thing puts a really big strain. Now, I'm keeping them separated right now. Susan is in the green room, and Michael is backstage because they're at each other's throats over a new issue now. Their 11-year-old son, Bodie. Now, Susan believes that Bodie is also schizophrenic and has been documenting him on YouTube. In fact, her channel has over 180 videos. Now, Michael says Susan is seeking fame by exploiting their children. He says she keeps them doped up on enough meds to take down grown men. Michael says Bodie may be autistic, but he is not schizophrenic and believes that Susan's personal agenda won't stop until their son is dead.
Since I was last on the show, Susan and I have gotten divorced. I was unfaithful several times. I've gotten remarried, and I've moved 1,800 miles away from Susan and Jenny and Bodie. Since I've left, things have gotten progressively worse. When Jenny was on the show and when she met Dr. Phil, she was still talking a lot about her hallucinations, and she was very much in her own world. Now her hallucinations are limited to a few friends. I believe Bodie is the real concern. Bodie is severely autistic. He is not verbal, rarely speaks in complete sentences. Bodie will blurt out 1 or 2 words at a time.
What apple juice?
Bodie has been hospitalized over 20 times. Susan believes that Bodhi is schizophrenic, just like Janny. I have never believed that. The odds of having 2 children with schizophrenia is about a 1 in a million. Susan believes that Bodhi is violent. That is not a belief that I share. Yes, Bodhi has lashed out at times. Yes, he has pulled hair. Those are normal autistic behaviors. Susan has gone from doctor to put Bodhi on clozapine. That is a very horrible idea because clozapine is a last resort medication for severe, untreatable schizophrenia. It is not to be used for autism.
Bodhi's just waking up. I just gave him his meds.
Do you want this pasta, Bodhi?
Spaghetti pasta.
I am afraid that Bodhi will suffer permanent brain damage from the medication that Susan believes he has to be on. Susan is punishing me for the divorce and the way things ended. If Susan does not co-parent with me, my son Bodhi could wind up dead.
Okay, Michael, it's good to see you again, and as you commented, that we both wish it was under better circumstances, yes. But it is good to see you again. I'm not surprised that you two have a divorce. I'm very sorry about that. And at this point, you agree that Janny is doing much better.
Janny is doing much better. Janny's come a long way from, I was watching before the little bit with her, and she's much more present in our world now. Mm-hmm. She does have real flesh and blood friends at school. She doesn't get to see them as often as she would like. Mm-hmm. She still occasionally will talk about her hallucinations, but I don't know if she really even sees them or if she's just lonely and she wants friends.
Well, she's tested at a genius IQ. So she has a very rich intellect, yeah. And so it takes a lot to keep her entertained. It takes a lot to, yes. She has a rich mind. Now, let me ask you something. You say that you think it's critical that you co-parent and you believe that your son's life could actually be hanging in the balance. Yeah. Then why move 1,800 miles away?
I moved, which was a difficult decision to make, but I talk to Janny every day on the phone. I fly back to California 2 to 3 times every 2 to 3 months.
Okay, but you agree this is at the expense of your children?
Yes.
I mean, so you've put other needs ahead
yes,
of your children's
yes.
best interests. There's no other way to
yes,
say it.
I would agree with that.
And I'm not saying that there aren't balances that you have to look at, but bottom line, you have a son that you believe life is actually on the line, and certainly his health is on the line, and you see him 3 days a quarter.
Yes.
And that's not the best way to co-parent if co-parenting was available. I just want to get that.
Yeah.
You got to acknowledge that.
I do acknowledge that. Susan's concept of co-parenting is do everything that I want. She will not listen to me, take my opinion under consideration, anything like that.
Okay, I get it, but we don't know because you're not here, and yeah. So we can't counsel through that. Now, she has a YouTube channel.
Yes. And
you believe that it's highly exploitive.
Yes, I do. I mean, she's filmed Bodhi in the shower. She's filmed Bodhi on the toilet. She claims that she's doing these videos as an advocate for mental health, but I don't think that she's actually teaching anybody anything. I think that the purpose of these videos is for her to get attention and for her to make money because she makes money off the ad revenue.
Well, here's an example.
January 28th, and Bodhi has been off of medication now for about 3 days.
That's enough. I don't want to show any more of that. Now, this garnered a tremendous amount of negative comments on YouTube, and some of those were accusing her of being abusive and exploitive. They were very pointed and said she should be turned in to Child Protective Services. They said she was sick, that it was torture, this was sad, putting the child in danger, Munchausen by proxy. Stop filming, this is eerie, poor kids, barely conscious, sad, crazy woman, over-medicated, sick, abuse. I mean, this is just a sample of them.
Yes.
These are just words pulled from them, but some of them went on and on talking about how, you know, who is this woman and why is she doing this? And that was one of the least offensive videos that drew criticism, because she goes on and on with the kids.
And she thinks that all of those comments are either from me, my wife, or people that I've had a relationship with in the past.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of friends then, because there's a lot of comments
I
up
don't
there.
have that many friends.
She thinks that your son, Bodie, is schizophrenic.
Yes.
You think that he is on the spectrum,
Yes.
autism spectrum disorder.
Yes. Because that's what he's actually been diagnosed with.
Right, and she's been to a lot of doctors looking for a childhood schizophrenic disorder.
Yes.
How many doctors?
Bodie has been hospitalized over 20 times. She has seen at least half a dozen doctors. I remember once she drove him all the way to Stanford in Northern California to try and get him seen by a doctor who would give him clozapine.
Well, I think the number's higher than that, but we'll ask Susan. Of Susan's almost 200 YouTube videos, there is one that really stood out to me, and I'm going to have to ask her about that, which I'm going to do after the break when Susan joins us. We'll be right back.
There have been times when Bodie has gotten so violent that nobody could control him. He would be grabbing at his own genitals, trying to pull them off. Michael just cut and run. Michael has replaced our family with his new family. I believe Michael wants them both to be institutionalized, especially Bodie.
Wednesday.
I drink a lot. I don't believe I have a problem.
They claim their mom
How long did it take you to meet my daughter? 3 weeks.
You're 2 blocks apart and you go weeks without seeing each other?
is the worst.
It would be nice to hear, hey, Mom, how you doing? That's a lie. That's a lie. Somebody go get my phone right now.
Grandmother of the year.
This is me texting her over and over and over again. 12 days, no response. My notifications were turned off.
That's Wednesday. Then on Thursday, she says her son's a raging wannabe gangster.
She doesn't trust me.
Should she?
Probably not.
That's Thursday.
Susan is living in a 1-bedroom apartment with her new husband and my 2 children.
Janny sleeps in her own bedroom, and then we have Bodie over here. Corey and I are over here.
They have no real furniture. Bodie sleeps on a mattress on the floor next to the mattress that Susan and Corey share. The apartment is very dirty. The living conditions are appalling. Since I've left, things have gotten progressively worse.
Well, Susan says she's doing the best she can with 2 schizophrenic children, but Michael says her home is a mess, and so is she. Now, Michael says Bodie is not schizophrenic. His only diagnosis is autism. Susan says that Michael fights her every step of the way, and all she's doing is fighting for 11-year-old Bodie's true diagnosis.
Michael and I are not on the same page with parenting our children. I believe Bodie is schizophrenic. Michael believes Bodie's severely autistic. Bodie has not been officially diagnosed schizophrenic. Bodie has seen upwards of 50 doctors. Bodie has been on at least 25 different medications. Right now, Bodie is not really functioning at all. There have been times when Bodie has gotten so violent that nobody could control him. He would be grabbing at his own genitals, trying to pull them off. I would say Bodhi is probably a 2-year-old's level of functioning. After a divorce, Michael moved about 2,000 miles away. I believe Michael just cut and run. Michael left me to pick up the pieces, and he left me alone. Michael has replaced our family with his new family. Michael sees the kids as a nuisance to his new life. I believe Michael wants them both to be institutionalized, especially Bodhi, and then he can just, I guess, go on. Michael comes in for the fun, and then he leaves. And then he criticizes me for what I'm doing after he leaves. He's not even here. I really hate him.
Well, I'm sure you're not excited to see him then.
He's been coming around, actually. He took Bodhi out for a couple of times as he's been here. And by the way, when you left last night, you said he ate, but
yes.
he did not. All of his food, Janny told me the truth, sorry. She tells me the truth.
He did eat.
And not only that, not only that, because he's losing weight rapidly. He is off all medication right now. He has been for 2 weeks.
Okay, well, we're not here to talk about what he had for dinner last night.
Okay.
Why?
Yes.
Tell me why you're so convinced that he has childhood onset schizophrenia.
I believe he has both autism and childhood schizophrenia. He is diagnosed with both. And basically,
he's not diagnosed with both.
He is.
He's never been diagnosed with child onset schizophrenia.
Well, psychotic disorder. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I don't agree with. That was one doctor. And how do you give a child a diagnosis of psychotic disorder when he doesn't speak?
He does speak, though. He's been speaking all night. He's been up all night, and you know what he wants to do?
He's not articulating the hallucinations, though.
He's articulating, well, I have video that I just took, actually, that you can have Dr. Phil. He's talking about the old man in charge right now. Now, I don't know who the old man in charge right now is.
It's probably a video that he's seen.
And maybe it is. Either way, he's not functioning. And he has all the ABA therapy in the world. He has 40+ hours of it in his autism class. They can't work with him unless he is mentally stable. Then they're able to do the therapies.
How many doctors have you taken him to?
We have taken him to UCLA, where there is one main doctor and a ton of fellows. Now, the fellows...
You've seen about 50 doctors.
Yes, because they're all under the one main doctor. And in fact...
And then of the 50 doctors, you got one that said schizophrenia.
Actually, I have
Which was the last one.
No, there were two outpatient psychiatrists. One, I don't know if I can name names or not.
I'd rather you know.
I figured you would not want that. So,
and what they said was psychotic
disorder. No, in Northridge, I have to tell you, there was a doctor, you remember, and he was trying desperately to get Bodhi on clozapine because he knew.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
I think that doctors would tell you that what they would say is that they were not willing to do it outpatient. They would be willing to do it inpatient, but I think that was to placate you.
Well, you can think whatever you want, okay? The truth is, I was even on the phone with the other doctor who believed this in Agora
Here's what you said in your tape piece.
Yes, go ahead. Bodhi has not been officially diagnosed schizophrenic. Psychotic disorder.
Okay, well, you just said he had been diagnosed as schizophrenic, and you say in your tape piece he is not.
Okay, all right, psychotic disorder.
You're talking about such a potent drug.
And my son was in a straitjacket, and you were there. I live with this 24/7.
He's not going crazy. He has autism.
You've been to 50 doctors looking for someone that will tell you he's schizophrenic. Because you believe he's schizophrenic, and you've told us, and you disparage these doctors as being incompetent.
Egotistical,
you say they're egotistical and incompetent because they don't agree with your diagnosis of schizophrenic.
Okay, I have something to say to that, actually. Adam Lanza was diagnosed with autism, and that worked out great because he was not given the right medication
So
or
you're
any
comparing
medication
Adam
at all.
Lanza to
I did not say that.
To Bodhi.
I did not say that. He was clearly psychotic. They made a big mistake. Now, what you're up against in the mental health care system is doctors who give the blank autism diagnosis. That's all they do. And usually there's a mixture of both or several diagnoses.
Who are you talking to?
The audience?
Well, talk to me.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We're not having an election here.
Okay,
They're not going
okay.
to vote.
That's okay. That's okay. But I just want to know, what would you do if you were me and your son was going absolutely crazy, as he is right now in this studio, and anyone can see it, and he is not on any medication? I live with this 24/7.
He's not going crazy. He has autism. People with kids with autism have meltdowns.
Okay, but you need to also have them function in the real world.
But
okay.
hang on a second.
Sure.
She asked me a question. Allow me to answer.
Of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not a politician either, you know.
You said, what would I do?
Yes, what would you do?
Well, first off, I would recognize my own limitations
Okay.
and recognize that as a mother, I, number one, was not objective. Number two, would be a good source of information to a caregiver. And I would look really hard to find someone that I had confidence in, that would go through a diagnostic process and not just talk to them for 5 or 6 minutes and render some diagnosis, because we know that happens a lot.
Yes, we do.
So I'd want someone that
that's
would...
how you get shoes on the White House lawn, is because all of these great doctors are in hiding. They don't come out.
Let me finish.
Sorry, it's not the guns. It's the mental illness that comes first. The guns come second. And nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. Why not? Where are the psychiatrists behind all of these terrible massacres? Where are they? They're in hiding under the HIPAA laws.
I would find a doctor that I had confidence in, that would actually take time.
This is going on the editing floor, I know.
I would find a doctor that I had confidence in, that would really take time to evaluate my son and go through it. If I didn't disagree, if I didn't agree with that, then I would get a second opinion.
I have. Now I can tell you why.
I wouldn't get 49 second opinions.
I'm gonna, you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, that you don't know. And I got to tell you, this one doctor who works at a very prestigious hospital happened to train so many fellows that even a psychologist friend of mine, PhD, who's seen my son, she tried to get him with a doctor that she knows, and the doctor took a look at all the paperwork, said, oh, this doctor, I trained under him. I'm sorry, I'm just not the right fit.
You think it's a big conspiracy?
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy.
But you know what that sounds like? That sounds delusional.
Well, thank you very much. I have bipolar. And, but this is the reality of it.
Okay, but let me say, you're talking about clozapine here or clozaril here. You understand that that's a black labeled drug that is given only as a last resort with schizophrenics that do not respond to any of the other medications.
That's correct.
And you've got to have blood work.
That's correct.
Like every week or 10 days, and not every psychiatrist can even give this. It's such a potent drug.
And it's
it's a last-ditch effort to try and control the delusions,
My son was in a
hallucinations.
straitjacket, and you were there.
He was not in a straitjacket.
It was an orange papoose. Do you remember that? 8 hours. You do remember that.
By the way, he's not going crazy, as you call it. Upstairs, he's just fine right now. He's just being fine. He's sitting around.
Well, you know what? He is off medication. That is in the best interest of my son right now. Anything happens,
But you want him back on medication.
No, I want him to be well. I want him to eat.
Susan
right now,
isn't the only one fighting for Bodhi to be diagnosed with schizophrenia. We'll meet her new husband when we come back, and I want to show Susan some of her YouTube videos that I found particularly interesting. We'll be right back.
Yeah, they need to be seen.
I don't think Michael has anyone's but Michael's best interests at heart. Michael enjoys any kind of misery that Susan might experience. Michael enjoys watching Susan suffer.
Susan is using the children for financial gain. She receives over $3,000 a month from the state of California to take care of them. In addition, she receives about $1,000 in Social Security disability benefits for each child. She makes approximately $6,000 to $7,000 a month, yet claims that she cannot afford a two-bedroom apartment, even though she drives a BMW. I don't think her priorities are in the right place.
Well, Susan got remarried in 2017 to Corey, who she says has stepped into the father role for Bodie after Michael moved 1,800 miles away. Now, Corey says Michael fights Susan every step of the way when it comes to getting Bodie the help and diagnosis he needs, and it's time for Michael to take a back seat.
Susan and I got together about 2.5 years ago.
I just love you.
The relationship was love at first sight, and I moved in a month later.
You want me to help?
What 2 hot dogs?
It is 2 hot dogs.
I never feel that the children are imposing upon my life or causing me any problems at all.
I'll mustard.
Okay, mustard.
I agree with Susan in the fact that Bodie is not just simply autistic. He may be schizophrenic. It's not surprising at all for me to know that Michael moved 1,800 miles away, and he's not very good at the parenting job. I don't think Michael has anyone's but Michael's best interests at heart. Michael enjoys any kind of misery that Susan might experience, either due to the kids, due to finances, due to her love life, whatever. Michael enjoys watching Susan suffer. Michael is always trying to undermine Janny's education. He's always trying to undermine Bodie's mental health and stability. He's damaging the progress that the kids have already made. I would love to see Dr. Phil get it through his head that he's actually causing more harm than good.
Corey, thanks for being here.
Hi.
You say Michael's causing more harm than good. But on the other hand, we're saying that he's moved 1,800 miles away, only sees the children 3 days every 3 months, so really isn't much of a factor at all.
Those text messages come in every single night.
So what are your thoughts, Corey?
Well, it's more about, you know, the damage that he's causing with the doctors, with the school nurse, with Janny's education, you know, anything that, you know, just comes up, he'll skewer it because that's just what he does.
Because I'm expected to rubber stamp whatever the two of you want.
She has been thriving ever since you left.
But this is a joint custody situation,
yes, it is.
correct?
Yes.
And he has the right to approve or weigh in on hospitalizations, medical care, changes.
Even though he wants the kids institutionalized so he doesn't have to pay child support, and he's garnished
I've
because
never said...
he has been garnished.
Hold on. I'm just talking about his legal rights.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he exercises in the way that you want him to.
Right.
I'm just saying, but you do acknowledge that he has the right to weigh in.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't agree with you, that doesn't mean that he's violating some right. He does have the right to weigh in. He could be wrong. I'm not saying, and if he's 1,800 miles away and doesn't see what's happening daily, he could certainly have an absence of information to make an informed decision. I certainly agree with that.
Yes.
But he does have the right to weigh in legally. Corey, what do you want to say?
Well, he does have an absence of information because he chooses to. He knows Janny has certain bathroom issues, and yet he wants Susan to take her to a doctor to get checked out, even though he knows exactly what's going on.
I don't know, because last time I checked, both of you aren't doctors. And we don't know what is happening with... We don't know what is happening with Janny. We don't know what is happening with Bodie. I want them to be checked out, yes.
You're asking him whether he needs medication or not. Are you kidding me?
No. No, I'm not.
And in the same conversation, do you want to go through the letters of the alphabet?
It's a flight of ideas. I'm surprised you can't see this.
He says you guys aren't doctors, and
is he?
Of course not. Not only is he not a doctor, he's absent.
Yeah.
And that is an issue, and I took that up with you in the first time we sat down. But now, you're not the only ones that aren't doctors, and there are some things that you've posted on the internet that are very troubling to me. And here's one of those YouTube videos that really stood out to me. Susan called it "The Cheese Stands Alone." It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and she is questioning Bodie about his meds. Take a look.
Do you need medication, yes or no? Do you need medication? You tell me. Because I don't know. You tell me. It's almost 5 in the morning now, okay? So you tell me, do you need medication, yes or no? And if so, which medication do you need? If you need medication right now. There's the alarm. What was that?
Gone.
You want to what? Calm? Do you want calm? What are you looking at something? What are you looking at?
Oh, okay, stop that right now. Stop that right now. Okay, now before I comment on that, take a look at this clip from this conversation.
How are you feeling now?
The letters.
Do you want the letters of the alphabet? Okay, I'm going to do that.
Okay, now, I'm sorry, but you're asking this child, who, by the way, I think was having a transient seizure in the first part of that conversation, and you're asking him, I want to know if you need medication, and if so, which one?
Yes.
And in the same conversation, you're saying, okay, do you want to go through the letters of the alphabet?
No, he brought that up to me,
I
and then
understand.
we talked. It's a flight of ideas. I'm surprised you can't see this.
What I can see is that you're dealing with a child that has a flight of ideas and is wanting to talk about the letters of the alphabet, and in the same conversation, you're talking to him about whether he needs medication or not, and which medication he needs.
Because he has declared.
And finally, well, take a look at this.
Tell me more. Because if I'll take you out, I have no problem. I'll take you out right now. But I need to know what's going on with you. And I need to also know if you need your Clozaril and Depakote. So you've got to tell me this, Bodie, before I take you out. Yes or no?
You're asking this child if it needs Clozaril or Depakote. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. Because you don't seem to understand what happens when children who are not medicated, well, hey, you know what? You got Columbine to Sandy Hook. Are you happy with that?
He has declared whether or not a medication was working or not.
He has declared that. You just aren't showing those YouTube videos, but those are on there where he can declare exactly what he needs.
He looked like on clozapine, and he was sedated. He was possibly seizing.
Yes.
Okay. About the seizures, okay? He was under an EEG when he had one of these so-called seizures. It didn't show up to anything that the neurologist was concerned with.
In fact, we didn't even get the MRI that was scheduled. There's a problem with the mental health care system that is being ignored, and it's all the way through.
You want to talk about the system. I want to talk about your situation.
I want to talk about the system.
And I'm telling you, in my opinion, you are not competent to make a decision about what medications he needs and when he needs them.
Okay. Then you provide me the doctor who is.
Let me finish. Neither of you two are competent to make decisions about what medication he needs and when he needs it. And certainly an 11-year-old child that is either schizophrenic or on the autism spectrum is not competent to make a decision about whether he needs Clozaril, Depakote, Thorazine, or anything else.
A good doctor, and I know Dr. Phil can give me a good doctor.
No, the problem is you won't listen to them.
Well, they haven't been right.
I'm not going to discuss another damn thing until somebody answers my question. Take a step back here. Corey, I understand that she's not objective about this. Do you really believe that an 11-year-old child that, if in fact you are correct, has childhood schizophrenia, is competent to make a decision about whether or not they need any of these medications?
He's on nothing right now.
That's not what I asked you.
He understands that, you know, when something's working.
Do you believe he is competent to make a decision about whether he needs these powerful psychoactive medications?
I think that when he's in his right mind, when he's present.
In that tape, do you believe he was present?
That tape does not he's not in his right mind.
She's asking him, should he take those medications? Tell me, I need more information. Tell me if you need these medications. And if he says yes, she's going to give them to him.
Sometimes, no.
We're under doctor's orders. We don't give it. We haven't given him anything.
Why are you asking him the question? Is this just idle conversation at 5 a.m.?
Because he's up at 5 a.m. because he's up all night long because he can't sleep and he's begging to sleep.
So the answer is to put him on clozapine so he'll sleep.
Not necessarily.
No.
I don't know what the answer is, but I need a good doctor, and I know Dr. Phil can give me a good doctor.
No.
The problem is you won't listen to them.
No.
Well, they haven't been right.
Stop. Now, wait. I want to clarify this 50 doctors business.
Yeah.
Okay. She's saying there was one doctor
I'm not going to discuss another damn thing until somebody answers my question.
Do I think he's competent? I think sometimes he's aware enough to give a valid answer.
That's correct. Sometimes he's aware, and sometimes he's not.
Then you are a reckless parent.
He is this much aware. Every once in a while, you will get a glimpse, and he is present, and you can converse with him. He will actually answer a question.
Yeah.
I think I am probably better educated and have more experience than Bodie.
Fair enough. I will give you that.
I have been doing this for 45 years. I have training in psychopharmacology, and I can tell you I am not competent to answer the question you ask.
Okay.
I am not competent to answer the question as to whether or not at that moment in time that child needs those medications, because that needs to be part of a therapeutic regimen dictated by his psychiatrist based on blood work, based on a following history, and based on where he is. And if you were to ask me, watching that video, whether he needs those medications or not, I would tell you two things. Number one, I'm not competent to answer that question without a whole lot more information. And number two, I'm not competent to tell you whether he has childhood schizophrenia or he is on the autism spectrum or both, because there is some overlap. And for you to be asking that child that question is absolutely, absurdly ridiculous.
Well,
I couldn't answer the question, so how in the world can he?
Fair
because
enough.
it's him.
It is him.
He is present from time to time.
He goes in and out.
Just because you have a brain injury doesn't mean you can do brain surgery.
Yes, no one's saying that.
How many times has CPS been involved with Susan? The answer may surprise you when we come back, and I'm going to introduce someone else to this conversation that can come closer to some of these answers than I can, because he has a different set of skills and different training background. We'll be right back. Well, we're out of time, so we're going to continue this heated conversation tomorrow. Now, how many times has CPS been involved with Susan? Has Michael been neglectful of the children? And is Susan really willing to take my advice, or is she going to just keep on right fighting? Here's a sneak peek.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, she posts videos of her mentally ill children. It's a show.
Why is he on a toilet and you're videotaping him?
Like you've never.
I'm not even willing to consider this if you don't stop posting videos of these children.
Seen.
It is a glimpse into our life.
Before.
You guys know just enough to be dangerous.
That's tomorrow.
You're not going to want to miss tomorrow. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe to my new podcast called Fill in the Blanks. It's free. All you got to do is press the button. We'll see you next time.